The Chicago Bears are a broken football team. They fired their head coach Matt Eberflus. They fired their offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. And those were right moves, by the way. But honestly, this team just doesn't feel any different. And frankly, they're running out of individuals to blame. The players did not come out with more fight and more passion. This was not a case of addition by subtraction, which is what you often see when a terrible coach is fired. And that was shown by the Bears' frankly depressing on-field performance against a very lackluster 49ers team where they got dog-walked 38-13. What concerns me the most, though, is the fact that Caleb Williams took 7 sacks from only 9 pressure dropbacks, making for a pressure to sack percentage of over 77%, which is absolutely insane. So let's look at the sacks and determine who or what is to blame. This first play really sets the tone for what you're about to see because frankly, I'm just lost for words. So the Bears here are running a mesh concept, which is very common in the NFL, and it's when 2 receivers run crossing routes over the middle of the field, which cross one another, literally mesh together, and it's great against man coverage and zone coverage. But 2 things are going to go wrong here. Firstly, this motion from Keenan Allen, making him the outside number 1 receiver to the inside number 2 receiver, because I think that gets him and DJ Moore confused as to who's meant to be running what route, because they both end up running the same route to the same area of the field, which is a big no-no in the NFL. The second is formation. Look at how tight the Bears receivers are, meaning look at how close they are to the offensive line as opposed to being spread out towards the sideline. This is a problem because receivers and quarterbacks work on rhythm and timing. Be at a certain point by a certain point. And the tight end Cole Kmet here is going to be running his sit route over the middle of the field. Now with this original crossing route, which is going to be wrapping around underneath like this, you can see very clearly that the spacing in this play, literally how spaced out the wide receivers are, is going to be horrible. So you can see DJ Moore and Keenan Allen running the same route to the same area of the field, and this is what I mean when I say the spacing is going to be horrible. All of these Bears receivers are essentially directly behind one another. Look at how little space the 49ers defense has to actually defend on this play. The Bears have rendered 2 of their 4 receivers completely inert on this play because they're directly behind Keenan Allen. And the only reason why it's not all 4 of them is because I think DJ Moore has realized the mistake and has slowed down. Caleb Williams can't throw this ball for God's sake, and he has to take a sack. And this is on the offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown. This play was dead the moment he drew it up in the meeting room. Oh, and by the way, Thomas Brown is the offensive coordinator and the head coach because the Bears fired those 2 people. He's had 2 massive promotions in only a few weeks. He was the passing game coordinator at the beginning of the season. And some really important context for later, he was the offensive coordinator at the Carolina Panthers last year. So not exactly a gleaming resume. On this second play, we have Rome Odunze out wide running a fade down the sideline. We've got Keenan Allen in the slot here running a deep out. Pretty questionable to be asking Keenan Allen to be running a deep out at this point in his career, but let's just roll with it, I guess. We've got the tight end Cole Kmet who's going to be running a sit route. And on the backside here, we've got DJ Moore who's going to be running a shallow crosser or a drag. Pre-snap, this looks a little like it could be man coverage. You've got these defenders in press coverage against their respective receivers. Now, press coverage does not always mean man coverage. Spoiler alert for a bit later. But it does often suggest it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you can see Caleb Williams looking over to this area of the field, seeing this, and I think that's what Caleb Williams thinks this defense is running. Man coverage. Because Caleb Williams never takes his eyes off this out route from Keenan Allen. And that's because, theoretically, if this was man coverage, these defenders would have inside shade, and Keenan Allen is running an out-breaking route, so again, theoretically, this would be wide open. But post-snap, it's not man coverage, it's zone coverage. Cover 3 to be exact. You've got this corner bailing downfield to cover this deep third, you've got this safety already covering his deep third, and you've got this corner who's also screaming down the field to cover his deep third, and all these underneath zones. But because it's zone coverage and not man coverage, Keenan Allen running this out route here, which Caleb Williams is locked into, is essentially being double covered, being bracketed inside and out. So Keenan Allen is covered, Rome Odunze is covered. At this point, Caleb Williams needs to come off Keenan Allen and come to either Cole Kmet or DJ Moore, who are wide open. But by the time he does, it's too late, he's held onto the ball for too long, and he takes a sack. This one is on Caleb Williams. And you can see from this angle just how locked in Caleb Williams was to that out route. He only comes off it now. And at this point, it's way too late. He needs to be much faster. On this play, I want you to focus on the offensive line. Here, the San Francisco 49ers are only going to rush 4. These 3 down linemen plus this blitzing linebacker, and you can count them. The Chicago Bears have 6 blockers, the 5 offensive linemen plus the running back. This should be pretty simple stuff. 6 on 4. There's no simulated pressure, there's no late blitz, there's no stunt, there's no overload, where more defenders are on one side than there are blockers. This is pretty simple stuff. At the snap, this defensive lineman is going to beat the center like a drum and sack Caleb Williams. There is absolutely nothing he could do on this play. Could this running back have helped out in pass protection more? Yeah, maybe, but honestly, it's besides the point. The interior offensive line of the Bears is a massive problem which needs to be addressed. That is the fault for this play 100%. Here we've got cover 1 man, which means 1 high safety, and all of these defenders are in man coverage against their respective receiver, with 3 of them being in press man coverage, so lined up really close to the line of scrimmage. Rome Odunze is going to be running an inside release post route for Keenan Allen's slot fade to come underneath. This is hopefully going to create a pick or a rub, which basically means that the Bears want these 2 49ers defenders to run into one another, making one of these routes wide open. Cole Kmet is going to be running a stick route, and DJ Moore on the backside is going to be running an in. Now, as I said, the 49ers are in press man coverage, really close to the line of scrimmage, and the Bears here, with these 2 routes crossing one another, are running a rub play, which is a man beater. So in theory, one of these 2 routes should be wide open, and that's why after the snap, Caleb looks directly to this side, but this safety here does a great job of going over the top rather than underneath, so he's able to stay in coverage. And at this point, both of these 2 are covered. Cole Kmet is pretty covered, and at this point, DJ Moore is going to come open on that inbreaker, but the pressure's got to Caleb, and he has to take a sack. From this end zone angle, you can see why Caleb Williams had to take a sack instead of being able to throw it to DJ Moore. This defender, who is all the way out wide at a wide 9 position, so miles away from this tackle here, is going to come all the way across the formation and rush through this opposite side A gap, so in between the center and the guard. And if you're thinking, well, that should take quite a while, you're right, because it really does. And what is 79 doing here? Genuinely, he's blocking absolutely no one, is miles away from his center, and he allows this rush to get through. Yes, DJ Moore is coming open, but at this point, with this pressure in his face, this is a very hard throw. And I really do not blame Caleb Williams for having to take a sack there. I do blame the interior of the offensive line, which again is a problem. But in the spirit of not being too harsh, I'm going to put this one down to good defense. Good coverage on the back end, which allowed the stunt to get home. This next sack concerns me the most, and I'm going to explain why. Rome Odunze in the slot here is going to be running a hitch route, and DJ Moore is going to be running an in, which wraps around behind it. At the snap, Caleb is going to look first to his right, which draws the safety to that side before coming back to his left. At this point, Rome Odunze is wide open. I don't know why he doesn't throw this ball, but he hesitates. At this point, DJ Moore is now coming open, but he still doesn't throw this ball. And again, I don't know why. Instead, he goes into creation mode and he takes a sack. This sack rings major alarm bells for me because it reminds me of early season Bryce Young, a quarterback playing with 0 confidence and 0 trust in his offense. And that's what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams on this play. And that's why the Thomas Brown link, the old Panthers offensive coordinator from last year, is so concerning because I'm seeing way too many similarities between those 2 quarterbacks right now. And finally, on this play here, we just have 0 separation from any of Caleb's receivers, and he has to take, you guessed it, another sack. The Chicago Bears are on a 7-game skid. They've not won a game since they played the Jags in London. And knowing what we know now about this Jacksonville Jaguars team, that is nothing to be proud of. There is a hell of a lot of blame to go around, and don't get me wrong, Caleb Williams absolutely bears some responsibility here, but he is a rookie quarterback. They make mistakes. He's in the very unfortunate position where his coaching staff is not preventing him from making those rookie quarterback mistakes. Like, I don't know, taking a massive sack against the Cardinals on 4th down, or not getting a playoff against the Detroit Lions to beat them on Thanksgiving in prime time. So no, I'm not going to put this at the feet of the rookie quarterback. This is the fault of the Bears organization failing at its very core and imploding like a dying star and turning into a black hole and sucking away all of the Bears' talent in the process. The Bears need a total coaching reset. turn the whole thing off and on again, because I believe in the talent they have, barring the interior offensive line, of course. But those players don't believe in themselves at the moment. So I want them to get a coaching staff who will turn that around and give them the one thing this Bears team is fundamentally lacking at the moment and has been lacking since the start of this season, and that is confidence.